Dialogic Disciple is an invitation to explore discipleship in dialogue with the world as disciples of the Word. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Dialogic Disciple podcast. My name is James Johnson, and I am here with my co-host,
Elizabeth Shaby.
Elizabeth. We have a special guest in studio today, once again, Kelley Stonis.
Hey, hey.
How are you doing today, Kelley?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
We are so excited to have you here today. Kelley, you are the Director of Sports and Recreation here at Northside Church. Mm-hmm. I want to just start by having you, we've never had you on the podcast before, so I want to have you introduce yourself and talk a little bit about who you are, what you do here at Northside, if you don't mind.
All right. Well, Kelley Stonis, I've been here for 24 years, which is hard to believe.
Wow.
Yeah.
Are you the longest person on staff? Is that?
No, I've got a staff member, Debbie Jett.
Debbie, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
36 years.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Tim Miltner. So
All right.
one of
So
the
you're one
few.
of the, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Goodness. Yeah. Started here back when I was just fresh out of college.
Wow.
And I remember my sister calling me and saying, I heard about this awesome job at the church around the corner. And it was for a summer camp director role. So I was like, all right, I'll go in there. And remember coming in and interviewing and hearing all the awesome things about what my job could be. And I thought, well, this will fit the role. And so I loved sports all my life, played sports, and have a child development degree. So that was
Cool, yeah.
So
Nice.
I guess I'm sort of using that in a way with watching kids grow up. And but yes, I came in for the interview, got the job, was the summer camp director for that summer. Little did I know that I was kind of getting in. And at the time, Cindy Peterson, the former director 24 years ago, she was kind of got me underneath her wing, and I learned a lot from her. And goodness, about, I don't know, maybe a year later, she brought me in her office and said, I'm leaving. I'm moving
Wow.
on. And I thought, oh, what? Don't leave me. I'm not ready. So she's like, I'm recommending you for the job. And I think I was 24 or 25 at the time. And I said,
Wow.
I have no
Crazy.
idea what I'm doing. But there were some key folks that believed in me. Jimmy Dickey was one of those guys. He was the chair of
excellent.
our board for 16 years and really helped
Wow.
start the programs here at the church. So he was like, you can do it. And Dr. Gill believed in me. So yes, I got the job and grown ever since, continued to grow in my job. And so that's I'm here now, and watched my 3 girls grow up here through the
that's
church, through the preschool, and getting loved on by all the caregivers downstairs, and getting to participate in all the activities through the church. So it's been my home. It's been my church home. And
That's
I'm grateful.
fantastic.
Cool.
Is this something that you thought you would get into when you were just coming out of college, like what you do now? Like, or did you have other ideas, or did you have any idea?
No, I played soccer in college, and I remember wanting to do education, like maybe do teaching. And my mom's been a teacher for 50 years, and my sister was teaching at the time. And but I remember the advisor was telling me that I wouldn't have time to do education, to major in education and continue doing sports in college. And I thought, well, what? So I decided on child development degree, but I love children.
Yeah.
I've coached children when I was younger, and did swim lessons. So I always saw the importance of being able to work with kids through sports and just watching them grow. And but I really enjoyed child development, and I actually, before I got the full-time role as the director here, I was working part-time in the sports and rec ministries, and then part-time in the preschool.
Okay.
And one of my favorite all-time jobs was being the creative movement and dance teacher down in the preschool. And I was in it. I would remember just being full on sweat, just
That's
running around,
awesome.
playing with the kids, and all the children knew my name. So that was one of those jobs I really cherished. But that was fun using my knowledge of child development and the growth, and the how children learn, play, and grow, and just then using it through sports and seeing them like really thrive by doing sports activities. And so I mean, God had a plan for me, and I had no idea what that plan was, and here I am 24 years
Isn't
later.
that the way it goes?
Wow.
Yes.
Isn't that the way it
That's
goes?
really cool. You said something a minute ago about when you took the job and how uncertain you were, but people believed in you.
Yes.
Like all the people and that just strikes me as that's probably one of the most important things that you are doing now for the kids that come into your ministry, right? It's just like, what a gift that is to have someone that just looks at you that says like, you can do this. Like, I believe in you.
Yes.
You know, whether you're a kid or an adult, like that's so powerful.
Yes. That's what I love about coaching. I still coach my daughters, and I had the honor of coaching with Jimmy Duro this past season, and just being able to see those kids and light up when you
so cool.
empower them and tell them that they're doing great. And
shout out to Jimmy, my cornhole partner.
Yes,
winning these trophies up here. Jimmy, if you're listening, well done. Congratulations.
He's the man. He's awesome.
So you have been here for 24 years. I mean, that means you started in the 90s. Right?
Yes.
Like 1999 or something like that?
That's right.
So you grew up in the, like me, you grew up in the Mia Hamm generation, right?
I did.
Yeah, she was amazing.
Yes.
You just said you played soccer, so I can turn this into a sports podcast real quick. In fact, I do a sports podcast with Jimmy's son, Edward.
Oh,
Edward Dickey, yeah.
Edward Dickey's been coaching here through our ministry for years. And I've watched him grow up as a kid here, and then now he's one of our coaches.
Is that a common thing, or is that like have you seen kids that are part of Northside, part of your ministry with Sports and Rec, and then come back to Sports and Rec and do things with?
There's a small percent. I mean, we'd love to see more. I think. I think the kids just kind of get busy and move on. But then, I mean, I do have some kids that call. Had a guy reach out a couple of weeks ago asking about the roller hockey program. We used to do roller hockey here, and he grew up playing here and was wondering if he could get back and coach. And, unfortunately, that was one of the sports that we had to let go after COVID because just the numbers of kids declined. But, I always tell kids there's a place for our doors are always open, whether you want to come back and do scorekeeping, because we have a large number of kids that come back to work with us. So they've been able to really learn and grow through the opportunity to be able to sit behind the desk and do scorekeeping, and Debbie Jett, gets on them and keeps them intact.
That's fantastic.
So it's been a really great place to kind of use my gifts and talents, but also, like you said, to see other kids grow and the opportunities for these coaches. This might be their only place that they've feel like they've had a place at Northside Church.
Yeah.
And so I've enjoyed seeing that, and always tell them just love the socks off the kids. Just love it.
That's great. So before you came to Northside, did you grow up in the Methodist tradition, or are your roots somewhere else?
No, I grew up Catholic, right around the corner at Christ the King.
Okay.
Dr. Gill always called me his Catholic missionary.
That's hilarious.
And so,
you and Patrick grew up together, right?
We did. Patrick Murphy.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Met him in 8th grade, but he grew up Catholic as well at IHM. And I feel like the difference of what I've seen growing up Catholic in playing sports, and then what I've felt is so different at Northside Church through Methodist is, when you go to a Catholic school, they usually have the sports within the school.
Yeah.
Like Christ the King had a sports program,
right.
So I was playing with all my friends from school. But what I recognize really quick through the sports here and running the sports programs here is that we're gathering kids from all over, from all different, whether they're Methodist or Catholics or Presbyterians, but like a lot of these kids have their sports at school and go to school, but they participate here, which is another outlet to bring families and children here to this opportunity. I mean, this environment here at this church. So I think that's been fun for me to see how we can do it a little different and offer programs for the community. So we really feel like this has been an amazing door, portal of entry for our community in the neighborhood.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you grew up Catholic. My experience with other friends that I have who grew up Catholic is that it's really hard to wash off. Like you can't really get rid of the Catholicism. Not that you want to, but I'm curious as to do you still see yourself as being Catholic, or do you still participate in Catholic traditions? And
That's a big question. I feel like I'll always be a Catholic at heart. You know, it's one of those things where
I don't mean to put you in a confessional booth, right?
No, because I did have to go to penance. I remember that. But I do feel like, I mean, I grew up going to Christ the King. I drive by that church every day on the way to school. My mother-in-law goes to mass almost every single day.
Okay.
And but I think that when this is a little personal. My husband was kind of wavering. What religion? Does he believe in religion at that time? And this was 14 or 15 years ago. And so when I think what he saw so different is what this church brought out in me, and how at that time Dr. Gill believed in me and loved on me, and his slogan is "Love is and love and
until you give it
away." And I feel like I know it might sound kind of corny, but like I've kind of the love in your heart wasn't put there to stay, love until you give it away, but like my whole thing was love you. Mark 12. 31, love the Lord with all your heart, your mind, your body, and love your neighbor yourself. And I feel like that's what sports is. Like if you and so I felt that love. Kyle saw that love in me through this church. And so when I was pregnant with my oldest daughter, Ava, we were like, what are we going to do? Do we baptize her Catholic, or do we consider joining Northside Church? And I was like, well, this church has been my home. I have felt the love from the minute I walked into this door. And so I feel like let's give it a chance. And so that was 14 years ago probably 15 years ago when we joined the church. And I think that's what Christ is about,
Sure,
so
I
think that even my family saw that and have seen the girls grow up here. And I always kind of had that Catholic heart and stay true to those traditions that the Catholics have. But as far as like how God's used me and my purpose and figuring that out here at Northside has been that place.
That's awesome. Yeah.
And especially going through, I lost my father almost 2 years ago, and really feeling that love from our members and from Dr. Bill. Just it's been my home. So I'm grateful.
That's one of the things that that I admire most about you, Kelley, is that I think maybe more so than anyone else that's on staff here, Northside is, maybe it's because you've been here for so long too, it's part of it for sure, but like Northside is, you are entrenched in Northside as your church home. It's not just like where you serve, it's also where your home is. And I've come to feel that way. I've been here for almost 9 years. I'm starting to feel that way. I do feel that way. But you so much so, like you've raised daughters here, and you've just been entrenched here and loved on here, and I love what I love about that is that you can see how you've impacted Northside and the ministry here at Northside, but you can also see how Northside has shaped you, and there's kind of been this symbiotic relationship, you might say.
Definitely.
Which is very cool.
Yeah, I think. I've been here for a while, so I sometimes have questioned, especially when I was younger, like, am I capable of running this ministry? And is this, do I know all the answers? No, I don't have all the answers. And I don't have a sports management background, but I've surrounded myself with really good people, good staff. I've had amazing staff through the years I've worked here. And I'm definitely a team player, so I realize that I can't do everything, that God's kind of gifted all of our staff differently, and so I've really kind of allowed them to take do their thing. And but one of the things and being here for so long, I feel like, is it my time? Do I need to step down? Can someone else come in and run this ministry better? I put it out there. I've had all those doubts, and I was just sharing this earlier. It's like, my mentors stressed on me, Kelley, God's put you here for a reason. And he's always said, if you had all the answers, if you went to school and you had all the knowledge and book smart, would you ever have asked God, would you ever turn to God? And I was like, no, I don't. So in all those doubts and times where I felt like, I might, I've got some big shoes to fill, because Cindy Peterson was an amazing person and director. And, but through all the years, I was like, all right, I've turned to God. And I remember a staff retreat years and years ago when we went into a silo, and then we came back and we built the prayer chapel here, and one of the scriptures around the prayer chapel is the name of the Lord is a strong tower, and the righteous run to it and are safe. And I feel like that's what I felt about our ministry, is just keeping Christ at that center and the tower, and just because that's where I felt personally in my life, is keeping him in my center is my core. And if we can do that as a ministry and just continue to put Christ in that center and put those values of love, and I've got the fruit of the spirits I put up on the gym walls, and it's so basic. Those are just the basic truths, how to love and how to have patience and kindness and gentleness and self-control, and like you don't need to overthink it. And so those are like the basic truths, and that's almost, that's what sportsmanship is all about. So that's what I've clung to, is just those simple truths of just, I don't know, bearing good fruit and being a good person, being a good human. So I don't know. That's just sharing a little bit of my heart there.
That's good. But I love your spirit of humility, because the way you're talking about this, it's as though you took the job like 2 weeks ago.
Right. Yeah.
And I would say that you've been here 24 years. You've done this job for so many years that the lived experience and lived education that you have now gives you, I hope, gives you confidence to do what you do, and you don't have to worry about not having some kind of book smarts about the thing, like having a degree on it, right?
Right.
What you have is way better than that, right?
Well,
this lived experience,
Yeah, no, I definitely, it feels, every day I'm feeling, okay, maybe I am.
Yeah.
Meant to be here, and it's good. It's so good.
That's great.
That's really cool. Like you were saying, that's a posture of growth and humility, and not all of us have that. So I think that's really cool. That's hard.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, and the questions of like, you kind of go through the grind and of just the programs and the really. The programming piece of what we do and running excellent programs. So you can get caught up in a lot of that. But, this past weekend was our last end of season parties for all of our soccer programs. And I've got 3 daughters, and I, admit that I'm not out in the field every weekend. And I've got, again, I put all the
What are the ages of your daughters?
My youngest is Kelley. She just turned 9. Macy is 12. And Ava's 14.
Oh, that's
Bless
good.
you.
Good
Bless
balance
you.
of
My
years.
goodness.
Yes, so it's there's a lot going on at our house, and it's busy time, and they all are in different activities. But I shout out to my staff for all that they do in nights and weekends. Chris Kavanaugh is a huge person that's out there on the field, being kind of that person for our representative of our ministry. Awesome. Jim Oresco, Debbie Jett, Edie Levov, and so I'm grateful for my team. And but just I was able to get out there, come on Saturday, and take pictures of the ballerinas here on stage and all the parents, and kind of nudging to get the closest seat. And so I had some good pictures Saturday morning, and then I stepped out onto one soccer field and just witnessed 4 coaches wearing our Northside shirts that Jim had gotten all the coaches. And this coach wrote something about every single player and put it on a note card with like a certificate.
Aww.
And took like a good solid minute or 2 and talked about each player. And
That's
the
cool.
parents were taking pictures, and I just had, these weren't my boys, and I just had that warm feeling in my heart. But I felt so good. I was like, man, this is what it's about. Really felt honored to be sitting there right there and just witnessing that. And because there's so many things that go on behind the scenes that and it just all kind of, I saw that and I was like, this is amazing. And then I go to another field, and it's little 5-year-olds running around, and the coach brought out a huge boom box, and I'm like, what is going on? And I could hear the music, and they're playing a full-on game with really fun music. And I looked at Chris Kavanaugh. I'm like, does this happen every Saturday? He's like, oh yeah, this coach brings out this boombox every Saturday. I was like, this is so great.
That is awesome.
So I left there going, man, this is good. God is good.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you what your favorite part of your job is, but it sounds like you may have just expressed some of that right there.
Yeah, I think when I come to when I have our coaches meetings and bring our coaches for our basketball, it's we talk about the grow piece at the church, you know, and knowing the love of God, and just as these kids, I said, love the socks off of them. You know, if they know that they're loved, and you know, and then if we can grow, the piece of the growing is like we do those little devotion, those little character cards. Yeah. And again, it just goes back to the simple truths, and we've broken down North Side, and, you know, in for never give up, and humility, you know, and so we discuss those each week. And, you know, I know there's coaches that might not be their comfort level, and they'll maybe do it halfway, but then there's coaches that really do it. And so I get it. But if we can just get a little bit of a nugget in there, and it's fun because even the girls that I've coached since we've been doing it for a few years, they know each letter. Aww. And so that's fun for me to hear them repeat it and know it. And then I feel like the go piece is, if we're going back to kind of what I love about my job, is like when I can see those kids leave our gym just smiling and happy, and whether they're 3-year-olds doing our little hoopsters program, or tiny tyke soccer, or, you know, we've got Laura Curry's ladies doing yoga, and they come every week, and one of the ladies just had a baby, and, you know, they took a retreat to Hilton Head, and these ladies all went together.
That's awesome.
Nice.
So yeah, I think that's the going part of just seeing everybody go out and sharing that love that they felt here.
Yeah.
And that's something I've always really admired about you, is that over the years, as my department has produced pieces for you, it's very evident to me that you are not running a sports program at a church. You are running a ministry, and you do that ministry through sports. And I just admire that about you. That's really cool. I mean, your heart is very evident in all that.
Thank you. Yeah. I mean, we are different than just the Wire and the other programs down the street. But I do hope that's, you know, a reflection of kind of who I I am, and how that comes across. And I mean, it's really has been an honor. I'm grateful. I mean, and we got a Star Word this past year. Y'all know we got those Star Words that we were given at the beginning of the year, and it is funny how that's crept up a lot, you know. And I look at it every day, and it's gratitude, and it's like I am grateful. It's a good place to work. I've been surrounded by a lot of really good people and staff, but the children and families are what make it such a great program.
I don't remember what my Star Word was.
You weren't there.
I wasn't there. I don't have Star Word. I'm living wordless out here.
You want me to give you one?
I need one. I need one. Well, I'm interested, Kelley, to talk a little bit about how sports and faith kind of intersect with each other. How we think sports can play a role in helping to develop our faith, or maybe how faith can inform the way we do sports. Now, I know Elizabeth is a huge sports fan.
Oh yeah. Sports.
She doesn't know anything about football or any other sport for that matter.
We have another friend in our group, and he's not really a sports person either, but he has this T-shirt that just says sports in that, you know, like the stereotypical sports font. Yeah. And it just says sports. And so whenever we go do something sports related, he wears that T-shirt. I'm like, I really got to get one of those. It's just like the irony of it. Sports. I don't know. It's all the same thing to me.
Yes.
But I thought we could start that conversation, Kelley, by asking you, maybe you remember a time, or you've seen an event, or have an experience of exactly that, like when faith and sports came together in such a way that either you saw something in your ministry over the course of the last, you know, years that you've done it, that really reflected the faith in the sporting realm, or even vice versa, how being shaped with sportsmanship help to develop someone's faith. Or
I don't know, our slogan we kind of came up with years ago was playing together for God. You know, like, do we keep that? And I don't know if many people have heard that. I question, like, playing together for God, playing together with God, you know, it's like, but and then you kind of ask yourself, well, why? Like, what? And it's, well, he is the ultimate prize, right? So it kind of brings that of sports is that universal language, and it's, you bring people together. It's a non-threatening environment. Yeah. You know, I think it's, years ago, if you think about the church and you've got your box of, you've got Sunday school and choir and you've got kind of everything that's supposed to be in that box, but then sports kind of sits outside of that box. And, and so if you can use that opportunity, that non-threatening, just easy, fun environment to bring people together and use the language of sports and use that tool to kind of break down any barriers. I think that's like an opportune time to build those relationships. And, I guess we've always saying there's a word, that bridge, to get people here to the church. That I think the challenge is like, what do you do once you get them here? Is like, okay, how do we really connect them? But that's where, our role is just, for me, is just like, let's create that fun, loving environment that gets them here, and that gets them to be able to build relationship with other families. And I guess that sports is that tool to be able to build those relationships and get in that little nugget of, okay, God's giving you these amazing gifts and talents, and how do you use that? How do you use your body to glorify God? And
I like that. I like that language.
Yeah.
How to use your body to glorify God.
Yeah.
I also think that an important part of what a ministry like Sports and Rec does is it's not just about bringing people in. We talk about it like that a lot. Like, this is a great filter or funnel to get people in the Northside, but it also takes Northside outside the walls of the church. It takes the church out into the world, right? Which is an important part of what it means to be a church. And sometimes we forget that. So
I think just that's one of the things I not question, but it's just that challenge of, like, how do we really show the value of sports and rec ministries, and like, we serve a lot of kids and families. Like, we had almost just under 2,000 children that participated in our program, and like close to 800 families. Just families. Amazing. And so it's like, how do we continue to show that value of like who we are, that we're not feeding off the church, that we want to feed the church,
exactly.
And that's
and you're doing the work of the church, I think, is an important way to think about it too. Just being in relationship with that many people is the work of the church, right? Regardless of what you're doing, as long as you're not going out robbing banks and stuff, you're not going out doing crimes, but that's an important part of what it means to be a church, is just to be in community and relationship with other people.
Right. I mean, we've talked about this before, like, the purpose is to form people, right? Like, that is a huge part of what it means to be the church, is to form us as God's people. And that has to happen through not just those things that are stereotypically church, right? It has to creep into every part of our lives. And so if the church forming God's disciples can occur through something like sports, like, that's incredible, right? Because people connect with that.
We're building his body.
Right. I think that's amazing.
Yeah. And it just goes to the point. I mean, like, some people will say that, well, playing a soccer game isn't about the gospel of Jesus Christ, and they'll say it just like that in that accent. But but if we truly believe that God created the world, which we do, and that God is in everything, which he is, then God is just as much a part of those relationships in that game. And God may not actually care who wins the game, He may not be rooting for one team or the other, but he is rooting for every person and player on that field. And just being present there as an outpost of Northside, or as really the kingdom of God, I think is really, really an important aspect of what your ministry does. And what Northside does, like plugging into people's lives like that.
Yeah.
Right.
We all grew up, and I said all of us, Elizabeth, this doesn't apply to you, but most of us grew up in a very sporting like culture, and we're part of a team at some point, and we know what it's like to be, what it means to have to lean on other people and to form that community and bond and relationship you do with a team. And that is such a beautiful metaphor for like what the church is supposed to be.
Right.
We're a team. We're on the same team.
See, this is why this is so hard for me, because I didn't grow up with sports.
Well, I went to, I admit I hadn't been to many of your Bible studies on Sundays.
They're
but,
not very good.
Some they are. But I stepped into that one, and you had talked about how people were fighting against each other. And you have to refresh me on like the scripture, but I almost brought up that how sports because you'll bring people that are just diehard sports fans that are completely against each other.
Right.
But in the end, like we're humans.
Right.
Like and would you invite, like, if you're, I don't know how to, Yankees or a Mets fan or whatever. Right. I mean, would you really invite them over for dinner? Like,
right. Can a Georgia fan and an Auburn fan sit in the same pew together?
Exactly. And you got a lot of houses that are divided.
That's right. And yet still, and when it comes down to the core, when it comes down to what these people are really about, that sporting fandom isn't a deal breaker, right? We overcome that conflict. For some people, it really is a serious thing. Like, people are really diehard Georgia fans. I am a diehard Cowboys fan.
Let's talk about diehard fans that get all up in their feelings about things.
And I would never allow. I was funny because I ordered a pizza the other day. And the delivery guy showed up to the house with a Philadelphia Eagles jersey on, which is a hated, despised rivalry with the Dallas Cowboys. And I was like, I don't think I can accept this pizza from you, man. All right. And then I was like, I'm not going to give you a tip.
He's like, I made it for you.
But yeah, so we have this kind of conflict. We have these sporting conflicts that I think can actually be instructive for how we deal with conflict within the church as well, right? And this metaphor of what it means to be a team, I think, is really instructive, or can be really instructive. And when we're teaching our kids that at such an early age, that's something that you can tap into later in life, and they get it because it's at the part of the core of who they are, right? You're talking about the things that your coaches teach the kids with the having Northside, all never give up, and all those things. Like, that's stuff that they're going to remember when they're 60, 70 years old, right? It's going to be throughout their entire life, and it's going to pop up in random moments. But it's these kind of formative things that we do at such an early age that really begin to show the fruit. I guess, that's another metaphor you can use. The seeds that you plant begin to sprout into the fruit later on.
Yeah, definitely. I think, I'm seeing it. There's that push for, I have 3 kids. And I admit, one of mine, wasn't expressing big interest. She played rec soccer. And I said, how scale of 1 to 10, how much do you love soccer? And she'd be like 6. I'm like, all right, I'm not doing academy. I'm not pushing to that next level. Then my youngest, being the younger one, she's all in it. And so I've got her in it. I'm like, oh, have I put her in it too young? Is she going to burn out? Are we pushing her too hard? So it's like, now as a parent, I'm seeing that balance of, like, because there is such a push around here that, like, you feel like you got to get your kids in at age 7 or they're not going to.
Oh, wow. They won't develop the right way.
They're not going to make the varsity team, or not even think about college.
They won't even be going to Stanford on that scholarship.
Right, and it's just a kind of that feeling of pressure. So if as a parent, I'm feeling it, and I know these kids are feeling it. So I think if there's that one feeling of we provide that place still that's just fun recreation.
Yeah.
And so that's just a reminder out to all those parents that if you're like questioning, just let your kids be kids and have fun and enjoy the sport, because if they're not enjoying it, they're not going to want to play. So as a parent, I'm seeing that, trying to sit and be quiet and not be too involved, just allow them to experience the sport and have fun. And but I do shout out to our program, because it is a good, safe, fun place where kids can
that's awesome.
Just play the sport. And parents can have fun watching it.
Yeah, that's good. That's really good. So, Kelley, as we wrap up our conversation today, I know that we got some big plans for our gymnasium downstairs. Can you
yes.
Can you fill us in on a little bit on what's coming?
We do. For those of you who've been around, Charles Cobb, some of our older members will know when the gym was built, and that was in the early 70s.
Wow.
We have never had the floor completely stripped and refinished. So some major projects starting on Monday. So we're going to have it all stripped down to bare bones and repainted. And we are going to put pickleball lines
Pickleball.
in.
Nice.
Now, I've never played pickleball, but I'm going to.
I have not either.
I've heard it's quite a thing.
We're
going to
start a staff
we are going to start
competition.
it. Yes, and we've got the volleyball sleeves put in. If you don't know what volleyball sleeves are, there are the holes. They've drilled the holes in the ground. It was kind of funny because they thought that the gym was on ground level when they came in to do it, and realized they're on second floor. So we had to make sure that the holes weren't going down into the preschool. So that was a lot. Thank you, Tim Miltner, for everything. I mean, Tim Miltner knows every nick and corner of this building.
He really does.
So we've got the sleeves in, so we're going to get the volleyball lines put in as well.
Excellent.
So it's an opportunity.
Is that where you put in the net?
Correct.
Okay, so this is that you can take it down and put it back up, whatever you want. Okay, cool.
Yeah, so
we
exciting.
need to have a volleyball tournament or something.
Yes.
To get the church into
get some sand
volleyball
in there on that brand new floor.
Oh, yeah, so we won't be doing open skate and roller skating anymore. Sorry, people.
Yeah.
So we're going to have to, hang that one up and say goodbye. But, we just brand new floor. We're going to
Yeah.
But we're excited about the opportunities for new programming and just having some open gym time to get whether that's, I know Jeff talked about the men's ministry being interested in pickleball, so I heard it.
Definitely.
So I'm hoping you guys would come out and give me your
Absolutely.
feedback and how we can do it. I've got a church member who's gung-ho about the volleyball, so hopefully that'll be a great outreach opportunity to where we can put the net up and get some younger student ministries involved and figure out how to grow that. And we're excited. We've been kind of some of the programs that we've done, for those of y'all who have been around, we've done soccer fall and spring, and we use the Morris Brandon soccer field. So we're thankful for that partnership. And we have an incredible basketball program. We had over 730 kids this past year. And we've got a lot of really fun after school activities for we really partner with the preschool program, so a lot of those kids will come up and we take them directly from the preschool up to the classrooms upstairs. So we offer karate and ballet and amazing athletes and golf and tumbling. So we do a lot of after school activities, and those are full. And we just opened registration the other day and they're already full for the fall. And there's like 2 classes that are completely full. So excited about that. And I feel like through COVID, we were able to really build that trust with the families and continue to offer that safe place. And so really felt like I'm happy that we've been able to keep those younger families continuing to be involved in our program. And this summer, we've got great summer camps lined up. We're doing a lot of the preschool age camps on the weeks that the preschool camps aren't going on. But again, ballet and karate and golf camps. And then we have an outside group coming in called Power Sports, and they're doing dodgeball and all sports camp. We've got, if your kids are coming to VBS, then you can keep them here all day. Nice. And you got the whole day free at home, and your kids can stay here and play sports all afternoon. And it's going to be a fun day or fun week. And basketball camp. Yeah, we're excited for change of season.
Yeah.
We just wrapped up soccer and we're just gearing up for summer camp. So
that's awesome.
Looking forward to
busy
getting
summer
some
ahead.
new kids in.
Yeah. Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, Kelley, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
This has been a great conversation.
Thank you, guys.
Elizabeth, thank you as well.
Thank you, Dr. James.
And we'll see you guys next week.
All right. Take care.